Hello, you beautiful souls. I'm Christina, and this is New Ways Podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Today, the topic I kind of want to get into is effective communication. And one of the reasons I want to talk to you guys about this is because I've recently had such an amazing conversation with a friend. And the topic that we actually talked about, most people would be like, oh, you talked about like feeling judged and like something that he was saying he didn't like you did and something that he did that you didn't like. That doesn't sound like a good conversation at all. But let me tell you, the way that we had this conversation, at the end of it, I was like, holy shit, we're going to call my friend Bob for the sake of this conversation. I'm like, holy shit, Bob. Thank you so much for that conversation. I feel like we grew so much closer from it, that we expanded, that we knew how to show up for each other even more. And it was so beautiful. We were talking about a non-ideal subject. We were being very vulnerable. We were being very real about how we feel about each other. And it made us grow closer. And at the end of it, I was like, I feel like if more people communicated like this, if more people heard this story potentially or listened to our conversation, the world might be a little bit of a better place. And I strive to have more conversations like that in my friendships and my relationships in all walks of life. I was like, you know those moments where it's like you've done things in the past differently and you're so used to certain type of friendships or relationships when you finally have a good one. And I'm not saying this was my first good one. I don't know. This like was just so wholesome because he's such a wholesome guy too. I was like, shit, there's different out there. And it really lit my heart and my soul on fire. So we're going to talk about this topic kind of through my story. So it's story time, guys. Listen up. Thank you for listening to my journeys of my life. To start off, a little context for you is me and Bob were planning a trip to Joshua Tree with a bunch of friends. And this was no regular just like staycation. We had intentions on this trip. Yes, we did want to have fun. We were going because we wanted to get out of LA for a day. And I love my day trips. They do make me feel like closer with my friends as well as just add excitement to my life. But that's not the reason. On this specific Joshua Tree trip, we did have an intention to go on a journey, to be super open and vulnerable with each other, to explore parts of ourselves that are kind of hidden beneath the surface. As much as all of us want to say that we don't have an ego or that we don't have our guard up, hey, I'm the first one to be like, I'm an open fucking book. You can ask me anything and I love talking about it. But there's even parts of me that I hide subconsciously. There's parts of me that come up at random moments. And the journey we were taking in Joshua Tree, that's what our intention was, is to just like expand our consciousness and our creativity and get a deeper relationship, more meaningful with ourselves, and bring up the ugly parts of us that we don't normally acknowledge, as well as unlock parts of us that we might like. I don't know. It was just a journey, and it was going to be a very raw, real, open experience for all of us. We knew that things might come up that we might not be able to control, and we wanted to be able to feel completely safe and comfortable with each other. And me, before this journey, I was like, I feel so safe and comfortable with all these people already. We booked the trip. Don't get me wrong. I do think that me and Bob should have had this conversation before the trip, but I didn't know this was what was in the back of his head at all. So after we booked the trip, Bob gives me a phone call one day and he's like, hey, Christina, can we talk for a second? Because I know we have this staycation, this trip coming up. I know we plan on having like a ceremony and going on a journey together and like really just being open and vulnerable. And this is going to be a very like deep thing. I feel like I need to express my concerns to you beforehand. And I love how he did that, for one. Yes, because God forbid you put yourself in any situation, regardless if it's like everything in life can be super vulnerable. If you decide to commit to somebody, if you decide to put yourself in a job or you're presenting in front of people, I don't know. There's a bunch of different things. I'm sure you can think of moments you felt vulnerable and moments that you felt like you really wish you didn't have to have your guard up. And I feel like going into moments where you, especially the healing process, especially like relationships you want to grow, you can't go into them with your guard up. It's just not going to be beneficial for you as well as the party around you. I do believe that like even if they don't know you have your guard up, there's a certain energy you carry when you do have it up. And that's just not beneficial for you and your journey. That's why everyone's like, for the healing journey, when you talk to a therapist or a coach or anybody, you have to be brutally fucking honest about where you're at. You have to allow yourself to see those raw, vulnerable things in order to move forward. And that's what we were doing. And he didn't want to feel like he should have his guard up around me. So, anyways, we are on the phone call. And he's like, Christina, I need to express my concerns to you before we go on this trip. Love it. Old Christina might have been like, oh gosh, what are you going to tell me that I did wrong now? And like get my guard up and think of ways to like blame this other person about for feeling the certain way and how like they're over perceiving it or whatever. But new Christina loves when people comes to her, like, I can't talk today. New Christina loves when people come to her with their concerns. New Christina loves when people check her. I do really, really love when my friends check me, because through open communication, I feel really, really safe with my friends. And I feel like we do want what's best for all of us. And when my friends check me, I see it as an opportunity for me to grow and reflect on it. Is also like know myself deeper and them deeper. So Bob's on the phone with me and he's like, we've traveled before. I've known Bob for a minute now. We've been through a lot of life experiences together and it hasn't really been anything superficial. So I've seen him in interesting moments and he's seen me in interesting moments. And we spent an extended period of time together. And he was like, Christina, I feel like you judge me sometimes. Like a lot. I'll admit. I have a very expressive face. am very vocal. And he was just like, hey, I felt like when we were doing this together, you were judging me. Like in these circumstances, you judged me. And this is where growth comes in so much. Old me might have been like, well, yeah, you do this and it pisses me off, so maybe you shouldn't do it. That is not effective communication. And that means that I have to do a lot of work on myself if I am blaming somebody else for having emotions and having fucking feelings. So when he said that, my first response was owning up to who I am and what I did do. And facts, I did judge him. It's who I am. And I feel like we do have a really skewed idea of what judgment necessarily is. And I kind of explained that to him. And I'm like, look, I was judging you. One of the things that like he did, not anymore really, we grew, did do that pissed me off was he moves slow sometimes. And if you can't tell, I'm a very fast-paced person. I'm like, I can do things in a minute. When I want to go somewhere, I get there, I go. Now I'm learning to embrace it. We'll get to that. But I was like, yeah, when we were on this trip together, I wanted to squeeze every fucking minute out of it. Another trip, not the Joshua Tree one. And he was moving fucking slow. So a lot of times I might make certain comments or I might roll my eyes. But like, I did it subconsciously. I didn't know I was doing it, nor did I know that he noticed I was doing it either. So my first thing was like, yo, Bob, I am judging you. But and I am sorry that I made you feel this way because genuinely I am. Like me doing those things I did not mean to diminish his own self-worth, to make him feel like less of a person, to make him feel like he was doing anything wrong. Because God, like, you being you is not doing anything wrong at all. Like, he was just being him and I was just being me. That's why I'm like, I don't see anything wrong with me necessarily judging you. Now that you've expressed these concerns to me, I will do my best to also, like, catch myself before making certain faces or doing certain things. But me just being different than you, because that's what it is my judgment was like, oh, you're not the same as me. I'm not perceiving you as bad or good, but I was just like, I just didn't like it. And that's it. I don't think that I am better than you. I feel like that's where judgment gets in the way, is like judgment is bad when you think that you are superior to another person, where you do let it get in the way of your relationships. But we were communicating effectively here. We were flowing. We were trying to come from understanding. My friend Bob didn't blame me. He wasn't like, you're judging me, you're a bad person. He's like, when you do this, this is how I felt. And I feel like that is really key when communicating how you are feeling, is coming from a place of like, look, like love and connection and trying to understand the other person as well as with me. I was trying to understand him as, this is how I feel when you did this. And I just want to say like, hey, is that what you meant? Hey, can we try to like work through this so we can feel like open and connected and like we're in a safe space. And I was like, look, I know I can be a lot. I know I can be a bitch. I know my face is very expressive. I get it. I owned up to my part. But I told him, I'm like, hey, I want you to know though, one, I will never change my core beliefs, the core of who I am for anybody else. I'm not, but I am more than willing to try to like understand you better and not even like fake putting on a face, but now like accepting you for who you are. Like it was a deeper form of acceptance. And I've realized that I stopped like expecting him to move faster. Back then, we were also, when I did do that, we were also just developing a new friendship. And now I have a more deeper love and understanding for who he is. So that really doesn't happen anymore. But I was like, look, I know. And I'm sorry you feel that way. I'm sorry that you feel judged or that I might make you feel like less of a person. I want you to know, though, that anytime throughout our friendship, if it does seem like I am judging you, if I do criticize you or anything, it has nothing to do with you at all. It has mostly things to do with me, as well as it does not mean that I love you any less or I think any less of you and I don't want you to be my friend. If you thought just because you were different than me, moving slow and I move fast, I don't want to be your friend, that would break my motherfucking heart because I love this man so much. He's such a good person and I'm so happy to have him in my life. Also, reflecting on it too, what he came to me with is I reflected, I'm like, why does that like piss me off so much? Why does him being him and being slow piss me off? Where can I learn from this? Because a lot of times too, if you have a deep emotional trigger from somebody else, it's you should reflect and you should say, hey, why is this triggering me? Because a lot of times it does have something more to do with you than them. And if we were in an environment where like we had to be somewhere at a certain place, it's like, yeah, maybe then I prioritize being punctual and he doesn't, which is fine if we don't have the same values or priorities. Like it doesn't mean that one is better than the other. But in this case too, we didn't have to really be anywhere super fast. And I'm like, damn, that's something that I've really been in trying to embrace lately, and that is something that he's been teaching me every day. So I actually thanked him. I'm like, I'm sorry if I triggered something in you. I am sorry if it felt like I was judging you. I was, but not in the way that people like to perceive judgment as. I really love how you do move slow now as our friendship has grown. I'm like, you are actually teaching me, and I admire that in you, how you decide to kind of sense romance every single moment, fall in love with the process of everything that you are doing and take your time with it and really nurture it. Like I do love that. And that's something that I want to embrace more in my life. Me being so fast paced, yes, it's gotten me so many places. And I do love that about myself, how I can be very quick, but also it's not something that I really had the luxury of in my earlier life. And even like a lot of lines of work that I do. So he's actually teaching me how to move slow. So I told him, I'm like, hey, yeah, completely respect how you're feeling, completely know where I'm coming from. Want you to know that, like, even though it is a form of judgment, I'm not actually thinking anything less of you. It's not the bad judgment. I love you as a person. Thank you for coming to me. And honestly, I do admire that in you. I'm happy you brought this up because, like, I could actually benefit from moving slower like you, as well as I'm sure he can benefit potentially from, like, picking up the pace sometimes and being a little bit more, like, focused. But that conversation right there, I know it sounds very short and sweet, but I was just like, after I was like, I feel like we've connected on such a deeper level and I feel like we have so much more understanding and I felt like we can grow and really just like hold each other and hold each other accountable and be honest and know that we want what's best for one another. That conversation lit me up so much and we both agreed on it. So kind of going back and reflecting on all of this is, I know this might sound a little bit repetitive, but one, like, not blaming the other person for your emotions because, all honesty, nobody is really to blame for your emotions except for you. Somebody can do the same thing to do two different people and they perceive it in two different ways. One person might have saw me make a face and been like, oh, Christina's just being Christina. Whatever. Honestly, those are probably areas that my friend Bob can explore in himself. Is like, why do I feel judged so quickly? Did it stem from something in childhood? Did it stem from my programming? Does it stem from just like, I don't know, maybe something I was born with? Is this something that I want to fix? Is not feeling judged so easily. But like somebody can do the same thing to two different people. You guys can both be in the same room having the same experience and it's going to affect each person differently. No, and I know this is shitty because I do get it's like, take it with a grain of salt. There are certain things that definitely shouldn't be done. But at the same time, like your emotions are your emotions. You have to own them. You can't expect other people to completely like teeter around your emotions. So him coming from a, hey, I'm not blaming you, this is how I feel, like that automatically opened up the room for like honest communication. I didn't feel attacked. Oftentimes, if you do go to somebody and said, you made me feel this way, they're going to feel attacked. They're going to have their guard up also. And it's going to be like, you're attacking my ego. You're attacking my sense of self. And God forbid you do that. Most people are not really receptive to that. You have to say, like, I'm not blaming you. People don't like to feel blamed. So that was one of it. Also, on the receiving end of open communication, both of you guys, both people, not just the person who's like kind of getting the blame game, I guess, have to be honest about where they're at. Like, there is no sense in necessarily lying about something or like pretending to be something you're not. I'm a firm believer that the truth always comes out, and honesty is key in effective communication because it shows you how to show up for the other person. It shows the other person how to show up for you and how to move forward better. So definitely being honest, as well as seeking understanding on both ends. Both ends have to just be understanding, like, why did you do this? And I want them to understand why I did this, as well as I want to understand why you feel this way. And I feel like that's just the holy trinity of communication, to be honest with you, is non-judgment, honesty, and understanding. Those three things in communication are going to be great. And I know it's scary. And I know having these conversations can be very rough sometimes. The conversation we even had, many people would teeter away from because we are told and taught. And some people just don't like confrontation. It's fucking scary. You don't know what you're going to get. And if this helps at all, I know this sounds kind of mean, but like, when you are effectively communicating with somebody, if they're not willing to communicate with you the way that you want to, or in an effective way, in a wholesome way, in a heartfelt way, do you really want that person in your life? As well as, okay, maybe you guys both do have great communication skills and you come to the conclusion like, hey, we are just two different people. We do just have different value sets. Is that really a bad thing? That's okay. It's gonna suck, because don't get me wrong, I don't want to lose any of my friends, but at the same time, is I don't want people around me who are not for me, who are not gonna make me grow, who are gonna make me feel like constricted, and who I can't trust. I don't want people around me like that. And as much as I know it's coming from kind of like a scarcity thing and a fear thing, when you do get rid of those people that are not actually meant for you, it opens up doors and room and space in your life for the people who are for you. Once again, I know it can be scary and we avoid difficult conversations for the fear of what ifs. But two things are either going to happen when you effectively communicate. Is one, you're going to say, this person's for me. We love each other. We now know how to show up for each other. Oftentimes in society and relationships and situations, we love to not bring things up because we assume we already know how this other person's going to respond. We already assume that like they're not going to do it or they're not going to show up how we want to. But like, what if they did? Could you imagine how much closer you guys can grow? Stop assuming somebody can't hold you or somebody can't show up for you the way that you want them to if you've never asked them to. Because then you do create scenarios in your head and you go down a rabbit hole about different perspectives that you think, but that aren't actually true. We love to make up scenarios in our head about other people and how they're going to act, but you don't know until you actually vocalize it and you're in that situation with them. Stop making up false narratives. Let people show up for you. Let them show you how they can show up for you. Because the way that we showed up for each other in that conversation, like I said, I feel like our relationship grew so much more stronger and connected. And I knew this person was for me and they were meant to be in my life. But then on the other side of the coin too, there's no shame in walking away. If this person shows you that they can't show up for you and they can't communicate and you guys are on two different realms of this thing we call life, your values just don't align, that's okay to walk away. And yes, it might feel a little empty not having this person in your life, not having this energetical force in your life, but like that emptiness will be filled by somebody else coming into your life when you effectively communicate who you are, what you're proud of, who you can be, and the things that are near and dear to your heart and what you want out of life. So yeah, you might lose some people with effective communication, but it's also going to make those relationships that are for you so much more stronger. And also when you know how to effectively communicate, the conversations that you have with other people just get a little bit more richer, I feel like, because people can tell when you do have your ego up or you're coming from a judgment way. I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but now I can't be around people who really gossip. I fucking hate when other people talk about other people. And when you just start like talking about you and what you're passionate about, the right people are going to hear it and the right people are going to resonate with it and they're going to come and talk to you. You'd be surprised how many like deep and meaningful conversations you can have when you do allow yourself to be vulnerable and raw, and you're not coming from a place of like the blame game or the traditional form of judgment. People see that and they resonate with it when you're just being who you are. So yeah, you might lose people, but you're also going to gain people in the right perspective, as well as I do think that working on your communication skills can potentially bring those people that weren't for you in the past back into your life. I don't ever believe in like endings. I can't tell you how many times I thought I was never going to see somebody again and it just come back around in my life. And we weren't for each other back then, but now we are. Life has a crazy way of surprising you, but one thing that I've learned about communication in a different aspect too is it's like I know I talk about my family a lot on here, and I love them so deeply, and I know I talk about like my old life in Chicago, and I have friends that are out there still. And I can't tell you how many times where it's like if you do meet somebody who's not ready for communication, you just have to accept them for where they're at and love them for who they are in that moment and realize you guys can still coexist. And if you want to be a small part of each other's lives, yeah, definitely. I feel like me accepting people for where they're at in their communication skills, in their healing stages, like has been the most beneficial for me. Is I'll bring something up, and I don't want to say dwell on the past, definitely don't, but I'm used to being in environments where if somebody does something, not now, but previously, when somebody did something wrong to me or I did something wrong to them, we often didn't talk about the pain, the hurt, or the lack of communication that happened, or the unideal things that we both did. Like, I'm not saying I'm perfect by any fucking means, and I've definitely done things in my past where were not my finest moments. But I do feel like the reason why potentially you hold burdens towards certain people, if you don't express who you are, it stays with you. If you don't vocalize your feelings, it stays with you. So I do feel like not acknowledging the pain that we've caused each other in the past has hindered us in the future, because I can't tell you how many times now that I'm speaking with this person, our emotions, things get heated. They want to bring up shit from the past because it's never been fucking squashed. People will bring up things from the past if they haven't vocalized how they feel about it. That's why I'm like, if we just talked about this, you can't really bring it up anymore because we squashed it. We got to the nitty gritty of like, you're sorry, I'm sorry. This wasn't our ideal moments. This is how we felt. And it's no longer holding us down. But unfortunately, I do wish that a lot of the people that are still in my life, that have been in my life for a minute and we haven't talked about certain things, I wish we could. Because there is that always underlining undertone. And I do think that we would just have a better relationship if we spoke about these things. Like, and it takes two to tango, okay? There's no sense in forcing somebody to communicate and own up to their end if they don't want to. I can't tell you how many times I've tried to like heal old relationships, being like, look, I'm not expecting anything from this conversation, but I would love for us to just squash this and like talk about it and maybe even grow closer. The people who have been open to communicating and owning up, we've grown closer. But then there's also those people in my life where I'm like, hey, this is how I felt. They'll own up to it for a second, but then they pass blame to the other person. But I did this because you did this. It's okay. I love and I accept people for where they are at and who they are. And no, I don't think that I am better than anybody else. I just think that I am on a different journey, and this is what I value is people who can communicate about how they feel, open up, be vulnerable, admit when they're wrong. I'll admit when I'm wrong, and we can just squash it and move on and hopefully heal whatever was in the past, whatever bad blood we had. But if that other person doesn't want to do it, hey, love and respect for you. I probably won't be hanging out with you all the time. And that is why I do have people from my past that like, I'll say, hey, what's up to? Love you. I can take them with a grain of salt. I know my boundaries. And there's those people that they are very prevalent in my life right now because we've both grown and we've both like loved, I don't want to say upgraded, but like leveled, met a different level in life, and like allow people to surprise you, but also just like take everything with a grain of salt. To me, communication has been so valuable. It's allowed me to have, you guys, I really didn't even know that this level of like love and acceptance for people and just connection was possible. I'm so grateful that I have learned these skills and that I don't know, I've harnessed the power of having these friendships where we listen. I really, really do hope that my story, my life experience, my reflection has resonated with you guys and helped you in some way, shape, or form right now. And also, when it comes to communication, please let me know in the comments what you think. Please let me know if you guys have any things If you have anything regarding communication that's helped you grow your relationships and feel better and more raw, authentic, and real, let me know any subjects you want me to talk about. Anything, please. Communication is key, guys. I cannot wait to hear from you. Thank you so much for listening, and until next time, I love you.